Hello and welcome back to Running on Pixie Dust. This is such an exciting episode, and I literally have not posted for a month at least, and I intended on posting more before we actually reached the Dopey Challenge weekend, but you know what? It's okay. We're living life. The Dopey weekend happened, and I just couldn't get that off the tongue fast enough, basically. So, welcome back to Running on Pixie Dust, my podcast and YouTube series. I'm your host, Annika. If you don't know by now, follow me on socials at Annika Hudak, Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and as well as my Disney page at Annika's Paintbrush on Instagram. But I started this podcast because I started training for the first time for the Dopey Challenge, which is the 2023 marathon weekend with Run Disney, running the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon, which, by the way, I'd never run a marathon before, ever. So that was the first marathon as well. But we made it. Welcome to a post-Dopey recap. Post-Dopey weekend recap. There we go. Words are hard. Brain cells are somewhat recovering now that it's been a full week since the Dopey Challenge finished. But spoiler alert, I finished all races, got all my challenge medals. We did the thing. We did the 50 miles, 48.6 to be exact, but I'm counting those corral miles as well as both my watches tracked longer than the course races because you're zigzagging and bathroom stops and whatnot. But so I'm counting it. So I mean, I did at least 50 miles. But yeah, I did it after 6+ months of training. The week finally came, and I will be diving into details in this episode. I'm really excited to catch you up on my experience, and I posted a lot on my Instagram page, on my stories. I did a question and answer on my stories as well that I'm going to save to a highlight on my page at Annika's Paintbrush. And I think so many of you sent me such sweet messages, such kind comments. Some of you are wanting to train for Dopey, maybe not next year, but in the next coming years for the first time. And I love that for you. And man, this was brutal. So I'm going to dive into details, don't you worry. And one of these days, I will get all of my Dopey merch and medals and make a little Dopey shrine on my back wall in my office if you're watching on YouTube. We still got a blank background here, but it's fine. But anyway, let's get into it in order. Let's start off how we're doing. So, okay. Starting off with highs and lows real quick. Highs going into the weekend. So leading up to the Run Disney Marathon weekend, I was not on my period for the races, which if you've been following along, that's been an issue for me. I just get terrible periods, horrible pain. It's debilitating pain. I literally can't run. And while I have pushed through it before, I did not want to deal with it for the main event. Hello, marathon weekend. I did not want to deal with that. So I was praying to the period gods, please. And I was manifesting, we're going to get it done before, and we did. So that's some personal information for you. But I was so happy about that. Next high, I felt so strong in my training. I meant to do another episode leading into Dopey weekend because I'm pretty sure I covered my last long run of 24 miles. So that was the highest that I did get to with my Dopey simulation weekend, where I did a 45-minute run early on in the week, and then I did back-to-back 5K, 10K. I want to say I did the full 5 and 10, and then I did 12 miles instead of a full half, and then the day after that I did 24 miles. So it was a solid simulation weekend. I felt strong. I felt good. Even after the 24 miles, I was like, oh, I'm ready. Let's do this. I feel amazing. And I was feeling so confident. I was I'm so ready for this weekend. Now it's I've done all the training. I've done everything I can. I thought that like there was nothing more I could literally do except for now, don't get injured, don't fall, and don't forget your running shoes for packing. Like those are the important things that we want to focus on. So I was feeling so good. So that was definitely a high. And I actually loved doing all the training, and it went so well for me. Like, obviously, not every day was a ray of sunshine, and there were definitely runs where I either skipped or felt terrible. And don't worry, I covered that all in this podcast in past episodes. But yeah, I was feeling so good. Lows going into it, work was hectic. I literally had a midnight launch Tuesday night, expos Wednesday morning. So it was just, of course, that always happens. Like when you're going to leave for vacation or whatever, like work is psychotic and everything's broken. Everyone's running around and being crazy. So, like, that was unavoidable. I was very stressed. Appointments, all my appointments, like the hair, nails, wax, like, I did a cryotherapy appointment with like a hydration therapy with an IV. And what else did I have an appointment for? What else did I do? It was just maybe that, or my hair appointment too. Did I say that already? Like, it was just planning everything was chaotic, and I planned things perfectly, but then things had to be rescheduled from like the appointments end, and I was so frustrated about that, and timing, and just driving all around Orlando, crunching all of this in. Like, we had New Year's Eve, which this is my next low, which New Year's Eve was a high overall, but we ended up going to Epcot for New Year's Eve, and it was a whole fiasco getting into the park because I can't even get into that story. That's like a whole episode on itself, but don't worry, I'll leave the details out for you. But anyway, we go to Epcot for New Year's Eve for this grand celebration. I'd never been before. It was amazing. I had 10 out of 10, highly recommend. It was a fantastic evening. I met up with so many of my friends, and my mom came with us, and we had a hotel room at the Swan, which, if you don't know, it's practically a boardwalk hotel, except it's not a Disney resort. It's, I think, like technically affiliated, but like not really. It's kind of just past those boardwalk resorts. So anyway, it was close. It's walking distance to Epcot. So we could go party and then walk back to the room, which is exactly what we did. I got way too drunk. Like, I was triple fisting. How is that a thing? I don't know, but I did it. So, hardly remember the fireworks. They were amazing. I'm sure. We have footage on Nate paging Mr. Morrow, big YouTuber guy. Nate is such a sweetheart. If you're in like the Disney sphere and you watch vloggers, I'm sure you've heard of him. He is just so incredible. He had his camera up on the rock that we were standing behind when it was time for fireworks. I'm sure he got good footage of it, but I probably look like a maniac if I'm in any part of his vlog. I don't even remember. But anyway, that took out so much from me that going into the week of marathon week, I was so hungover, so dehydrated, such terrible planning on my part, and like that was definitely a low going into it. I took the entire day after, so all of January 1st, which was the Sunday, and then thankfully we had Monday off of work to celebrate New Year's, like the, what do they call it? It's like in observance of New Year's Day kind of thing. We have the Monday off. And so I took all of Sunday to recover. Monday, I had my hair appointment to fix my hair color that was just, it was not happening. I was in a wedding the weekend right after marathon weekend, so I literally had to have these appointments done. Like, it wasn't just for running marathon weekend. Like, I wasn't going to stress over getting my hair colored for something like that, but I was in a wedding the following weekend, and there was no other time to like get everything done. So got the hair and the eyelashes. That took all day. I had to like reschedule my eyelash appointment to the next day. So like, I'm just stressed. Work is crazy. Appointments are crazy. I'm dehydrated and hungover for like 2 whole days, and just, I was losing my mind. Tuesday night comes. I do my work launch. I get to bed probably about 1 a.m. and I had to like stressfully packed kind of like Monday night and kind of Tuesday, and I was just very like stressed going into it, and not even about like a training or like the runs. It was just like, you know, you kind of just feel rushed into things. But anyway, sorry, long story short of that little recap, let's move in to the actual dopey weekend. Like, starting, finally, we made it there. We're here. It's Wednesday, Expo Day, the official kickoff of the 2023 marathon weekend, and I'm gonna go through it day by day. Wednesday, Expo Day. I think we woke up like 7 or 7:30, I think. I was like getting up, getting ready, because our goal was to join the virtual queue for shopping the merchandise at the expo, which dropped at 8:30, I believe. And our goal was to join the virtual queue and then leave the house and be prepared to not come back. We were staying on property at the Port Orleans Riverside Resort, so we would go to the expo and then check into the hotel. So that was the plan. 8:30 a.m. comes along. We're ready to join the queue. Both my mom and I like have our fingers ready to like tap on the screen and get a good boarding group, I guess, or what is it? Return group. I don't remember the like official name for it, but your callback group number essentially. And obviously the lower group number you have, the earlier you get access to the merch, which means you have your pick of all of the merch as opposed to going later and things being sold out. And especially in your size, because I know they might still have that item of merch that you really wanted, but it's not in your size. So yeah, we got group 15, which was pretty good. Like I was content with that. It was good. It was good. We go to the expo. Everyone's kind of like grouping around, and everyone's standing around waiting for their boarding group to be called. I keep calling it a boarding group because I'm used to that for like the rides, but I think it's technically like a return group or whatever it's called. Whatever. I'm just going to call it a boarding group. We are boarding for the merch. And I think technically the expo opens at 10 a.m., but they let in like the Club Run Disney folks into the merch early, like, I don't know, 9 or 9:30. I don't know specifically. I'm not in Club Run Disney and I don't know people that are. So they're let in a little bit earlier. And then they start calling groups like 1 through 5 or whatever. I want to say it was before 10. Because we got there like 9:15-ish. And they were already having people in. I'm trying to think back to the time. I have to like look at my video timestamps. But just standing around with everyone, waiting for our groups to be called. And 15 is finally called. We pull up the barcode. They have to scan you. And then you have to go inside of the building and wait in another actual physical queue that they line you up in that large room where normally we would all like rope drop the expo and wait in line early on when you didn't have to get a virtual queue. But so that's another line you have to wait in. And then they like slowly let you in. Now, the actual room with the merchandise, chaos. Like hectic, crazy. If you're someone with anxiety, this is not the place for you, especially on like that opening morning, because it is crazy. I go in expecting that. Like I am full on prepared. Like I've got elbows up. I'm like laser focused on what I'm going to grab and like what sizes I need. I grab what I need and I go try it on later. And if I don't need the size that I grabbed, then I'll go put it back and be done with it, or let someone else have it. So I go in fully like mentally prepared for this because I know how these work. And I know how crazy psycho people are about their merch. It's me, I'm people. But like there are some people who just have not a clue in the world, have never been through this experience. And so I was hearing from other podcasts and posts on the Facebook groups that I'm in and from other friends and whatnot that it was just so chaotic. People were rude. Like they didn't know what to expect. This was such a stressful experience, and they like to like take their time shopping, and like they don't know what they want to grab. But I think to those people, I have to say, either choose to not go at like that first half of the first day because it's unavoidable to have contact with the psychos, or you kind of have to, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Like, you have to be with the psychos. You know what I mean? There is this account, and I don't know the name of it because I don't even think I follow them, but I had a friend send me their story, and they post all of the merch. And oh gosh, I need to like look up the handle of that, but they post every single piece of merch on their stories because they're club run Disney, so they're literally the first ones to see everything that's offered, and they post everything. So I and like a bunch of my other friends too, and all the Run Disney psychos go through and see every single piece of merch that we could possibly want, and then that's available. So we know going into it exactly what we're grabbing, and having been to the expo before and through these merch shops before, I know how things are placed. Like, we know where the spirit jerseys are, they're in front. We know it goes by race, 5K, 10K, half, marathon, or like, etc. And then they have just the general weekend merch, which the marathon weekend merch. And then they have like the challenge merch. And so we have an idea of how things are set up. So for the first timers, it must be so scary. But anyway, all that to say, I am a crazy person, and I'm dedicated. I'm dedicated to the bit. I ran in there, grabbed everything I wanted, and kind of started a pile, and then go on and try on and like switch out sizes and go through it and edit. But I mean, I was fully prepared to like drop some money on some of this merch because hello, Dopey challenge for the first time. Hello, first marathon. And I'm really into the merch. So that was like a big thing for me. Very exciting. So bought way too much, but I love it all. And it was just a very long day, very exhausting. We're taking pics. When you leave the actual merchandise area, they do have the big numbers that people take pictures with. The 5.2 or 5.1, 6.2, 13.1, 26.2, and then they also had the Goofy, which is like what, the 29 point whatever. I don't know the Goofy one off the top of my head. And then Dopey 48.6, obviously. And then they also had Dopey meeting, which was so fun. I love that they had him meeting, and I waited for him, and I waited for pictures with the 48.6 numbers, obviously, and documenting the whole thing, going and grabbing our bibs. It was a whole experience because Dopey runners had the second floor of like the bib arena area. So that was interesting. But it was so cute. They had balloons up for celebrating the 10th anniversary. It was very special. Everyone was very kind and helpful. And it was just a surreal experience because once you get your bib, like it's real. It is real. Did lots of shopping at like the actual expo booth area with all of the different vendors, and I love stocking up on like KT tape or feature socks and other kind of like miscellaneous things, last minute pickups for the weekend. It's so great to have that. And then it was time to go check in for our hotel, but we had taken so long at the expo that we didn't check into the hotel until like 4 or 5. It was so late and we're exhausted. We needed to eat dinner, and I had a park reservation for like Epcot or something, but we didn't even go. We were like, we are too tired. Let's unpack, like check into the room, get settled, eat dinner, and then we have to go to bed because the 5K is the next morning. So we did all of that, prepped everything, and then it was time for bed. Like, Expo took too much out of us. But both my mom and I were running the 5K. So we both had to prep for that, and we both had to get up early, which was nice because that first day is so tough. It's day 1 of the 2 a.m. wake-up calls, and it's such an adjustment for your body. Like, ingesting food at that time, having to, like, going to the bathroom and, like, making sure you're set and ready. It's a whole adjustment. And so 5K day, it's Thursday morning, set the alarm. I brought my sunrise clock, which definitely recommend that. It makes getting up so much easier. Ashley and I, since we were running all the races together, we planned our outfits together, and we had planned to be on an Elsa for the 5K, but checking the weather the night before, we saw that it was going to be hot and humid and awful. So we swapped it out last second and decided to just wear like dopey tanks that we both got from the expo and call it good, which I'm glad we did it. We were much more comfortable and it was fine. But we get up for the 5K, and my mom and I actually drove to Epcot for the 5K and 10K because it was easier, it was quicker and more convenient for us. We didn't have to wait for the bus or anything. So, I mean, why not? We just did that, and that was fine. It was very hot and humid because normally you got to take your jacket and your throwaway clothes depending on the weather for marathon weekend and wine dine usually, because you kind of just never know. It's hit or miss if it's going to be cold or hot. But when it's cold, it's cold. And when it's hot. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad that we didn't need to take a jacket or anything. So that was fine. They had characters out. I want to say it was like the Fab Five out taking pictures at the starting line. Very, very crowded. I don't really stop for characters before the races usually because the lines are so long. Like, I'd rather just either wait at the end or just not wait for them. But yeah, so I had my overnight oats that I always have, and I had my little Starbucks double espresso before we left our hotel. Get to the race, not waiting for characters. We go line up in the corrals. It was easy going. The 5K is untimed. It was good and fun. I will say this was my first 5K at the Walt Disney World Resort. I've done 5Ks at Disneyland, but this is my first one here. And oh my God, it was so crowded. Like, so crowded. Like, obviously the 5K is the most popular race because it's untimed. It's family friendly. Like, it's a fun run kind of vibe. Lots of characters are out, and then you still get to go through the parks and the cute medals and the theming and all that. Very attractive, and it's the cheapest race. Obviously, it's the shortest distance. Still not cheap, but like cheapest. And all of the character lines were insane. Like, insane. Unbelievable. There were wait times. I think I overheard people saying over an hour. An hour for a character in the middle of the 5K race. No thanks. I don't need to meet any character for that. Well, okay, I'm going to bite my tongue because I'll tell you why later. But yeah, I mean, it was just very, very crowded. And I think we were corral B. And out of A, B, C, D, E, F, what is that? 5? A, B, C, D, E, F, 6. I think it went to F for the 5K and 10K. With the Dopey Challenge, we got 2 bibs. So we were B for the first 2 races and then C for the last 2. So we were in B. I like usually being in B for those races, it's fine for character lines because you can kind of get up there and it's a little bit lighter of crowds, but we did not get that at all. At all. To be fair, we didn't really push forward in our corral. Like, we kind of started at the back of B and just were very nonchalant about it. So, I mean, had we have pushed a little bit more and like maybe ran a bit faster or whatever, we could have waited for someone, but it was fine. We're not huge on that. Like, if there's a character I really want, like, I'll just get a selfie with them, or depending on the line, I'll wait. But it was easy going. 5K done. I think I took a couple pics at the end, and they had a cute marathon weekend background, so that was fun. Got some fun PhotoPass pics, and it was good. However, I was so tired after because, again, it's the first day you're waking up at 2 a.m. and your body is just not used to it. But my mom and I had brunch reservations at Steakhouse 71 at the Contemporary Resort, and it was like a little bit of a later brunch. It wasn't until like 12:50 or something. And so since it was the 5K day, it starts at 5 a.m. We were done. I think I started running like 5:25. And then it took me 43 minutes and 7 seconds, clocking 3.22 miles on my Garmin watch. And then I was waiting for my mom as well, because she had a further back corral than us. So, I mean, we were done early. Went back to the room. I did a little bit of stretching because I'm like, it's day 1. We gotta last. We gotta last until day 4. But yeah, I was snacking in the room. Thankfully, we had snacks in the room. 10 out of 10 recommend doing that. They had a special marathon weekend mimosa at Steakhouse 71. So my mom ordered that, and that was really fun. I was not about to drink alcohol, especially after my New Year's Eve experience. Plus running. Hello. But she said it was good. I ordered literally like 4 plates of food at this brunch. I was starving. And I was so confused because I'm like, I've been training for 6+ months, like hundreds of miles, and how am I this hungry after 3.1 miles, like after a 5K? This is like the shortest distance I've been training forever, and why am I starving? Like, it's just, things were kind of like out of whack. I ordered a full-on appetizer, the French onion soup, 10 out of 10. I ordered like the avocado toast. It came with like 4 big pieces of toast with potatoes on the side, and oh, it was so good. And I ordered a side of pumpkin pancakes and pog juice. I mean, tell me that isn't the perfect brunch. Tell me it isn't. That's how we do brunch. And so that was incredible. Ate my weight in food. Ended up going back to our hotel and just skipping our park reservation again because we were just tired. Like, I was so tired. And that's one thing that everyone says is training for the miles, like, that's the easy part. Waking up at 2 a.m. is the hard part for the weekend. So they're not wrong. They are not wrong. We went back to our hotel, went to the pool and the hot tub, and soaked, which was great. We had early dinner and then went to bed. Like, we were trying to last. Moving right along. 10K day. It is Friday morning, 2 a.m. once again. Getting ready. It was a little bit easier to get up, actually, because for me, the first day is always the hardest. But then the second day, it's like, all right, let's do it. Which I had only had experience doing 2 days in a row. I've never even done a 3-day in a row because I've never done the 5K usually at Walt Disney World. And so my maximum challenge included just a 10K and a half, usually with Princess Weekend or the Wine and Dine challenge. So I was only used to 2 days. But I will say for the 10K, it was much colder. It was very cold. Like, I don't know how it magically dropped that low. It was at least in like the 50s. I think it was like high 70s and like very humid for the 5K, I want to say. And then it dropped to like low 50s, I think maybe even 40s for like the 3 a.m. mark, like high 40s, which is a very significant difference. And for Floridians, that is freezing cold. But thankfully for Ashley and my costume for this day, we were the Chippendale Rescue Rangers. So I was Chip, and I had the brown jacket, like his like little aviator jacket or whatever, and like leggings and stuff. So I was like perfect. I was so glad that like my quote unquote heaviest costume, which like the jacket was very thin, so it wasn't like a big deal, but my heaviest costume was for the coldest day. So that like worked out perfectly. I was very happy about that. We flew through the miles. Like, we were just getting it, which, by the way, we tried to stick with the 60-30 run walk intervals for all the races, but for the 5K and 10K, we didn't really follow it because we were just like, yeah, like, let's run now, la, 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 and just like take it easy. And then we felt good. So we would just go. Character lines, still very crowded. For the 10K, usually it calms down a little bit. Didn't feel that way. Still felt very crowded. We stopped for a bathroom break, and right when we finished the race, we finished like literally at like 6:57 a.m. or whatever, and at 7 a.m. I got my Guardians queue because we had an Epcot reservation that day. So I got that as I'm like walking through after I grabbed my medal and grabbing my the Powerade and the snack box, as one does. But we clocked 1 hour and 34 minutes and 6.54 miles on my Garmin. So again, clocking a little bit more than the actual course mileage because we're zooming in and out with the run walk and the bathroom stops. So at the finish, they had Chip and Dale meeting in their Rescue Ranger outfit. So I was like, cause like it's Chip and Dale on the medal, and hello, you gotta have the medal characters meeting. But I did wait over an hour for that. I was shocked that they did not cut off the character lines sooner than they did, like sooner, just in general, because when I got in line about like 7:15ish, 7:10 a.m., I waited over an hour. So I finally met them at like 8:20 or whatever. And behind us, the line was even longer. Like the wait behind us was still at least like 2.5 hours. Like, I'm not exaggerating. That's how long the line was. I was like, are you kidding me? Why are they cutting off the line? But I mean, maybe they did, and it was after I left. But I don't know, man. That was crazy. But I got my picture with Chip and Dale matching them, so it's worth it. I was like, I don't have anything better to do. I'm gonna wait for Chip and Dale, and they were so cute. So worth it. Went and showered and changed at the hotel room. It was great staying on property. I didn't have to drive all the way home like I normally do. But we planned brunch again, but this time at the Grand Floridian. And when we got there, I think we were wearing, my mom and I were wearing our race shirts and our medals. And one of the cast members at the front of the hotel before we entered saw like that we were the runners, and she gave us celebrating buttons that said, like celebrating being a grand runner or something, like for Grand Floridian. And it was so cute and it was so nice, and it was just, the energy was so good because there's so many racers everywhere, and like you'll see someone else wearing their race shirt and their medal walking around, and it's just a fun little community. But then had a great brunch at Grand Floridian Cafe. What did I order? What do you think? The avocado toast. That is the only thing I order at brunch. That is how you brunch, ladies and gents. And then usually a mimosa, but for me it's pog juice all weekend, which was very good. And making sure I stay hydrated. So lots and lots of water. We got our Guardians queue, so we ended up going to Epcot, literally rode Guardians, and then left. We were tired. My feet were already hurting at this point, and I was like, what the heck? Why are my feet hurting? Like, why? And it's because you have to stand in the corrals for so long before the races start. And that's something that, like, mentally I was like, yeah, of course you have to do that. But like, physically, if you aren't spending that much time on your feet in preparation, like, your feet are going to hurt so bad. It doesn't matter. So that hindsight is 2020. Now reliving that and realizing that, it's like, okay, even though I trained on my training run days, I would run like 6, 7, 10, 12 miles and then still go to the parks after, because I was trying to have time on my feet in training. Even with all that, my feet were still dying after the 5K and 10K. I'm like, what? I've been training for this. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'll comment more on that in a little bit, but went back to our hotel again, pool and hot tub. Like, it was a routine at this point, and soaking just helped a lot. We tried to have dinner at the Boat Rights restaurant at the Port Orleans Riverside, but they ended up being so behind on reservations. Like, we had a reservation for like 6:50 p.m. and it was like 7:10, and they still hadn't called us. They were like, yeah, there's still like 4 people ahead of you. And we were like, what the heck? Like, I need to eat and go to bed. Like, I'm running tomorrow. Like, my mom wasn't, so she didn't have to care, but I was running the half in the morning. Hello. And so we were like, screw that. We went to the food court. We had some really gross food. I got the pasta thinking, how can someone mess up pasta so bad? Oh, it's possible. the nastiest pasta I've literally ever had in my entire life. It was mushy. The pasta was mushy. It was like penne pasta. Mushy and disgusting. The sauce was like, I don't know, red garbage. Like, and so my mom had gotten like a slice of pizza or something, and it was like, it wasn't bad. So I like went up and told them, I was like, this pasta is not doing things for me, and I gotta run in the morning, and I just like, I need to eat something. Like, what can we do here? And thankfully they switched it out for the pizza, and they were super nice about it. And it was I was grateful that they did that, because I was like, bruh, I need to eat something. So yeah, so it was late. I think we didn't get to bed until after 8. And like, I'm the type of person where like, I need my 8 hours of sleep, but it is what it is at that point. Moving on to the half marathon day. It's day 3. Getting up at 2 a.m. except I woke up earlier. I think my alarm was set for 1:45 a.m. Dear God. Because me and Ashley wanted to catch the resort bus at 2:30, and that's when they start on half marathon and marathon days. They start earlier as opposed to the 3 a.m. for the shorter distance races. And we were like, we got to be on the first bus because people be wildin'. So set the alarm earlier, try to get ready earlier. Both me and Ashley were running like 5 minutes late, which was perfect. We both timed it fine. We catch the bus at like 2:35, 2:40, I think. I think it was actually 2:40 a.m. So it was probably like the second or third rounds of buses already. But I mean, still early enough. And I think it honestly worked out perfect. And we had our matching jerseys that I crafted. I posted them on Instagram, so go check them out. We had ordered like the 90s Bel Air like baseball jersey, and it had the number 23 on it. And then I got them in and actually painted over the Bel Air on the front and back to say Dopey. So it said Dopey 23, like Dopey Challenge 2023 vibes. I don't know. They came out so good, and we looked so cute in our matching jerseys. And we're feeling good. I was a little bit delusional at this point. Day 3, going strong. I had posted each day like, oh, day 1 with the Epcot ball at dark with like the 3 a.m. timestamp or whatever, like day 1, day 2, and then we get to the half marathon, and I was like, day 4. And I had posted it on my Instagram story, and I didn't realize until I was like walking in the crowds, and I was like, did I post 4 instead of day 3? Like, hello. Yeah. So posted again and was like, actually, it's day 3, guys. We're doing great. It was very cold. Thankfully my mom and I had bought these weather jackets at the expo. They're kind of like a really weird papery material, but they're like disposable and supposedly like not like insulated, but like they'll keep you warm enough and like dry if it were to rain. And so I had this jacket that I was so glad I did, because it was so cold. I took the jacket and I took gloves, because I want to say it was like mid 40s at 3 a.m. or whatever when we were waiting in the corrals, and that was rough. Since we did take the first bus out, or like the first couple rounds of buses, I say. It wasn't the first bus, but anyway, we got there pretty early, and they did have the characters at the starting line again. They had Darkwing Duck, and I didn't know who this was until Ashley was like, oh yeah, I want to meet Darkwing Duck. And I was like, okay, who is this? I don't know. But her boyfriend also ran with us for this day. He got a half marathon bib like last second. So it was the 3 of us, and we waited for Darkwing Duck for like, I don't even know, like 45 minutes or like an hour. I don't know. We didn't even start walking to the corrals until 4 a.m., which for the half marathon and marathon, it's the 2-mile walk to the start. I think it's the same for both. So I think it was 2 miles for both days. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But so we didn't start walking until 4 a.m. and we had corral C at this point. So they weren't going to close very early, but like they would later on. I did hear horror stories that people who did back check and were not the like first buses, like the first waves of people, got shut out and they closed the gear check lines. And people are like, well, what am I supposed to do with my stuff? Like the gear check lines got so crowded for any like open lines that remain. And then now people had to like run to their corrals, and they closed the corral C, I guess, that a lot of these people were in. And everyone in corral F was like, these crazy people are jumping the fences, like yelling at cast members, like our volunteers. And it was a madhouse. So I didn't experience that because I never do gear check because it stresses me out for that reason. So I just carry what I need, and I'll usually have my car there, or because I normally drive myself to these races. But in this case, my mom was going to spectate for the half marathon. So like anything I needed, I would just like give to her to carry because I did not want to deal with gear check. And that just like solidified my decision to never do gear check. Or if you're going to do gear check, be the first one there. Like, I don't know. That I understand like things maybe could have been done more smoothly. I wasn't there. I didn't experience it, so I can't really comment on that. But the amount of anger a lot of these people had in their posts, in like these stories that I was hearing, part of that's on you, buddy. Like you could have been there earlier. You could have been. There are thousands of people at these races. Like put two and two together. Like, I'm sorry if this happened to you. That sucks. It does. But now we know for next time. Now we know. Yeah. So we met up with a bunch of our friends. It was so fun meeting up with people. I would run into people on like different days and then like not see them again, or I would see the same people over and over again. And that was so fun. And we had a big group of us that we would start in the corrals together, and each of us kind of had like our running buddy that we would stick with. So it was perfect. Great community. Our friend Alex in Fantasyland, my hands were so cold that she was literally like holding them. She was like, I'm hot, guys. She like gave away her Mylar blanket to Ashley, and me and Ashley were like, like standing here in our corral, and Ashley's like, I'm so warm. Like, give me your hands. Because my hands were literally icicles. I have poor circulation or something. But even with the gloves on, my hands were numb. So she was like, come here. We were doing our little, it looked like we were like praying, and I told her that, and she was like, well, I mean, we are. We've got a half marathon to run and a marathon to run tomorrow. So yeah, I love the community. Anyway, we took it really slow. We got to take the half marathon easy, and we did start off with our 60-30 run walk intervals, and then just like taking it super slow and easy. And then we ended up actually walking a lot the second half of the half. And we took bathroom breaks and all of that. We finished with 3 hours and 40 minutes. This is on my Garmin, and clocked at 13.53 miles, averaging about a 16-18 pace. So we took it easy. Like, we did some running more in the beginning, but the last half we were walking, and we were not walking very fast at some point. So like, we did have that buffer. I was dying mile 9. I was dying. I realized I didn't bring enough food, because when I'm training, I get up, I have my overnight oats, I'm out the door, I'm running. Like, it's quick. Whereas on these race days, I had my overnight oats in the hotel room, 2:30, 3 a.m. I'm not running until closer to 5:30 a.m. So that's like 2 hours of elapsed time that I'm either already burning that food, because the running hunger was real this weekend. I was eating my weight in food because I was so hungry. And I just like, I should have packed more food for right before the start, because I was so hungry early on, like earlier than I was used to in training, and I didn't pack enough food. So I had a goo, I think, for the half, as well as like maybe a go-go squeeze, the little applesauce things. And I think that was it. And then they had the sport beans on the course at mile 9. So it is what it is. My mom spectated, so that was really fun. She got to Main Street in Magic Kingdom, And she got there at like, I don't know, whatever it was, 4:30 a.m. because you have to get there early and make your way to the front of the rope to be able to actually be seen. So she had her signs, and she was with my friend Allison. And I've had Allison on the podcast before. She's kind of like my unofficial running coach. I'll just be texting her all my questions, and like she's so sweet about it. She's like a runner. She's a track star. Anyway, so it was so fun having them to look forward to. They were at mile 5 in Magic Kingdom on the half marathon course. So that was fantastic. Spectators are incredible. And again, the half as a whole was fun, but it was so much rougher than expected. Like, again, I felt so strong in training. Why am I dying in a half marathon? What do you mean I'm dying in a half marathon? Like, this does not make sense to me because I've trained so hard. But we finished. It was fine. I was starving. And they had the food trucks at the finish line. They had like the Joffrey's and like a taco cart and something else. But I was like, they got street tacos. Give me some street tacos right now. I shoved them in my mouth. Like, shoved. And then we go back to the hotel. I actually took a nap because you're not supposed to nap after these races. You want to walk around and like stretch out and take care of yourself. But I could not even keep my eyes open. I like showered and whatnot and changed. And my mom and I were kind of like getting ready to go to a brunch again because we wanted to like make sure we had a full meal every day, obviously. And I was like, nap out. And we again canceled our park plans. We were like, we can't. Like, we're both exhausted. Like, she still got up early and was still standing on her feet for the entire half marathon because she was spectating and was also at the finish line waiting for me as well. So we were both like, no. We went to the hot tub again because that was a daily thing. Definitely stayed at a hotel with a hot tub. Like, that's a must. We ended up going to Disney Springs because I wanted the special celebrating buttons, and I posted those on my Instagram as well if you want to take a look at them. And they had them ready to go at the Christmas shop. Like, they had them literally all lined up, ready to go. Like, you could order your own personal one, but they had like 5K, celebrating 5K, 10K, half, or Goofy, and the Dopey Challenge one. So, and it was written in like a pretty purple calligraphy, and it was so cute. So I got that for me and Ashley, and like made the special trip all the way down to the Christmas store, which is at the very end of Springs. Like, that's a lot of walking. And then we got Blaze Pizza. That's like usually my ritual before half marathons is to eat an entire Blaze Pizza beforehand to like make sure you're ready to go. So we did that for kind of like a late lunch, early dinner vibe. Went back to the hotel, and that was it. We had packed up a bunch of our stuff because we were checking out of the hotel on Sunday, marathon day. So my mom was going to be in charge of like gathering our stuff and checking us out on Sunday because there was no way I was going to finish the marathon and then come back to the hotel before checkout time, like before 11 a.m. No. So my mom actually was like a trooper and drove a bunch of our stuff home on Saturday so that we wouldn't have to deal with much on Sunday. So she could just grab the last couple of bags on her way out Sunday morning, and then we were checked out of the hotel and done. So logistically, there was a lot going on Saturday. But again, early night, she was a superstar for doing that. And I was able to prep and lay out all my marathon stuff and go to bed early. So I think she came back probably before 8 p.m., 7 p.m.-ish. And then we both went to bed. Final day of marathon weekend. Marathon day, day 4. 4th day, waking up. I had my alarm set for 1:40 a.m. 1:40 a.m. Like, granted, I like to put on a little bit of makeup. I have to KT tape my ankles, and I did KT tape my knees for the very first time because my knees were dying. My feet were so tired. Like, this wiped me out. This weekend was taking everything out of me. I was just like so frustrated because I thought I had done so well with training, and then I was like so ready for all of the exertion of the weekend, but it still took me out. I prepped everything before, and like I packed up the rest of my stuff. I had to like finish packing my stuff too, as I was heading out the door while my mom was still sleeping, so that she could just grab the bags and go. And so I had to be up a little bit earlier, but I prepped my hydration vest for this day. I don't run with water or anything else for any of the other races because of there's enough on the course. But for the marathon, I knew that like I wanted to have it on me for all my snackies and to not slow down at all the water stops because I am a slow water drinker and I prefer to just like sip, and I didn't want to hold anything like the cup of water. So anyway, wore my hydration vest, taped my shins like I always do for long runs, but I watched a video like the night before and I just tried to like memorize it for taping my knees for support, and I'm so glad I did that. I wore my compression sleeves like I did for the half as well. 10 out of 10 recommend. That was fantastic. It was cold again, and so I had my mom's jacket that she actually didn't use, the same throwaway jacket that I had used the day prior. So I just took hers for the marathon and was so glad I had that. We met up with friends again. Like it was just, it was good energy, and it's anxious energy as well because all of us were doing the Dopey Challenge. Day 4, it was a lot of our first marathon. We still had 26.2 miles ahead of us. So we were all stressing a bit. We hit the bathroom like twice before the race started, and we were all feeling the nerves. We had the 2-mile walk to the start of the corrals and then had to stand there, which a couple of my friends, a lot of them were sitting down on like their Mylar blankets and stuff. But I just like, I was too scared of getting like tight or like sitting wrong. And I don't know, I didn't want to sit. So I was standing, which I think in future I want to take like a butt cushion and just sit because you do not want that extra time on your feet. And I partially regret not sitting in the corral, but it's hard too once they start moving you and like you want to push up further into the corral so that you can like start earlier. But I mean, it is what it is. I grabbed Ashley. We had the 60-30 intervals. I had the Jeff Galloway timer on me, and we started that immediately. We both had the strategy of we're sticking to the intervals, and that is what's going to push us through. So we were sticking with them. The lanes were very narrow. The race was going, and like you're jam-packed in there. And Ashley kind of warned me that marathon people, not very nice, which we didn't really encounter that necessarily, but people are just a little bit more serious than say for the 5K. And a lot of like race etiquette is usually a little bit more followed with the higher distances because it's usually more experienced runners. Not always the case, but so we were kind of packed in like sardines for those first few miles because the course takes you on like a 1-lane road. And so we're all kind of just like penguins jogging along. And so you can't go very fast. You can't go around people. There's nowhere to go unless you off-road into the grass and risk twisting your ankle, which we were not going to do. But it was kind of nice because then it kept you from going too fast and like pushing you too fast right out of the gate, which you want to save yourself for the later miles, so that actually kind of like worked out for us. I will say, our ending time that I clocked on my Garmin was 6 hours and 21 minutes and 27.05 miles. And we averaged about a 14:07 pace, which is actually very impressive to me because the second half of the marathon, I was dying. And I thought I was going so slow. Like I thought I was like 20-minute mile pace, but like it wasn't. I think our slowest mile was like 15 minutes or something. Like something outrageous that just didn't make sense because I just felt so weak on those slower miles. But breaking it down, we didn't stop for characters. We were like very committed to our 60-30 intervals, and there was no one we really like wanted to stop for. Dopey was on the course. He was after mile 12, and we just got a selfie with him. The line was way too long. Like, we just were not going to do that because we didn't want to stop because our legs were already kind of crying at that point. My mom did spectate again, so she was waiting at mile 11 for us on Main Street, and such a prime spot. And it was, again, so encouraging to have that to look forward to and help kind of mentally push you through a little bit. The first 13 miles were absolute breeze. Like, felt so good. Like, killing a half marathon. We were doing so well. We were sticking to the 60-30. We were kind of going a little bit faster on the runs as well. And it was easy. It was fun. Felt great. Mile 14. Not feeling so great anymore. I don't think I really hit a wall per se, but my body was kind of just like, hold on. Why are we still going? What do you mean we're still going? I had a toe blister coming on, and a long time ago, like maybe like a month and a half ago, I switched to only wearing toe socks. The socks that go individually on your toes because my toes kept getting blisters even when I taped them and like in such weird spots. So after switching the toe socks, my life was changed for the better. No toe blisters, not even on my 24-mile run. Like, what the heck? So loved that. Was wearing the toe socks again, but I think with just like the sheer mileage of the weekend, because there's so many extra hidden miles in there, and the time on my feet and the walking, it was just inevitable that I was going to get a toe blister. I'm completely prone to it. It was going to happen. I just worked through it. It's fine. Was getting a toe blister on my right pinky toe, and that came mile 14. I said, awesome. We're going to have that for the next 12 miles. It's fine. We get to mile 16. It's a lot of kind of back road highway at this point. I could not imagine doing this by myself. Major kudos to people who got through those not boring stretches, but like difficult stretches of the course where it was just road. It's just road. Like, no exciting things happening, no distractions, no one to like talk to. I was questioning why I did this. We get to mile 18. I'm delusional. I'm crying. My feet hurt. My feet hurt. And I'm angry because my feet hurt. Because I'm like, why do my feet hurt so bad? I've trained so hard for this. It was terrible. I was literally silent for like the last 10 miles of the race to Ashley. I literally couldn't even talk. I was just like trying to get through it, doing little like, I call them grandma runs, which I'm sorry if that's offensive to grandmas out there, but where you do like just a little like shuffle run, like just to keep jogging. I had to do some grandma runs because my legs were dying. Mile 21, which is the Blizzard Beach Loop. And when I mean Blizzard Beach Loop, I mean in the parking lot, you turn in and you literally just loop around the parking lot, but you're also kind of passing runners who've already completed it. So it's like a two-way course, essentially. Oh my God. I never want to see Blizzard Beach ever again in my entire life. I was hallucinating. I thought I was running in circles. I literally stopped in my tracks, looked around, and thought I took a wrong turn. And I was like, didn't I already pass these runners next to me? Because in these races, you kind of teeter along with the same people, and you'll pass them, and then they'll pass you. It's just how it goes. And it comes to a point where you get pretty consistent with the people who are around you. And I was like, hold on, I already passed them. Like, I was dying. I was in pain. I was tired. Like, I was literally having panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And we finally finished this freaking loop. We come out the other end to where the other runners are like entering. And we pass our friend Alex, and she shouts to me like, Annika! hi, like, so good to see you, like, go. And I swear that like lifted me off the ground. Even I wasn't actually on the ground, but like it lifted me mentally off of the ground. And like I was able to be like, okay, why is she so energetic? I hate her. But like, okay, I can keep going. Like, let's do this. Me and Ashley would also kind of teeter. I would run ahead and she would catch me, or she would run ahead and we'd eventually catch each other. And there was one point where she was behind her, in front of me, or not next to me, and someone, this poor guy, he was just running next to me, and I literally was like, like, like not even holding back tears. I'm pretty sure there were tears like streaming down my face, and I'm like trying not to have a panic attack. He's like, how's it going? And I'm like, it's going. Like, could not even be like, yeah, hey, like, be polite and have some energy in my voice. I was like, it's going. He was like, that good, huh? I was like, and I just kept like jogging along. Like, like, I felt so bad, but I could not talk. I just couldn't. He was very nice guy, very nice people around me, but I just, so if you're that guy, I'm sorry. I was dying. Miles 22 through 25, I was feeling very defeated. My legs were dead. My feet were in so much pain. My legs were barely turning over. I have tendonitis in my right shoulder blade from doing dance and stuff, and like from ballet and everything. And so tendonitis never like goes away. It just like flares up, or like you forget about it for a while. And like I'd forgotten about it for a while, but I think the motion of like the running, and like maybe it was my hydration back on me, like with that weight and stuff. Oh my god, my tendonitis was flaring. I literally had to hold my arm across and like hold it so that I didn't do that like running motion. I was holding my arm like this and just like, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm demonstrating, but basically it was like holding my left shoulder with my right hand, like keeping my arm stretched, and I was in so much pain. We passed the buses that like pick up people who get swept, who either get injured or they get behind the balloon ladies and aren't quick enough. We passed those buses, and I literally was like, should I go get on that? Like, should I give up? Like, I want to go sit on the bus. I want to go over there. Oh man. But Ashley was literally so encouraging. Like, Ashley was like, you're killing it. Like, we're doing it. And like, obviously, like, she was tired too, but she was still so positive and like upbeat and energetic, and like that's her personality. And I'm over here like, like, I'm dying, like being negative. And I wasn't trying to be negative, and I was trying to keep a good attitude, but she was doing the most. She was like, come on, you got it. I was like, okay. Mile 26, that last mile through the World Showcase in Epcot, I have never wanted to be out of the World Showcase so badly in my whole life. I was like, are we there yet? Dying. I will say the spectators were great in Epcot and Hollywood Studios as well. Going into Hollywood Studios was, I think, my lowest point. We passed a PhotoPass photographer, and I literally could not smile. You could not pay me to smile. I was like, in the PhotoPass photo, I posted on Instagram too. So, but I was just so grumpy, so tired. We passed people that we knew, and that was a jolt of energy, which we really needed. Spectators save lives. The spectators got me through. I would not have made it not running through the Disney parks and like without the spectators like cheering you on and like literally giving you energy and like having such funny signs and telling you words of encouragement. Like, oh my god, slay. Spectators save lives. So if you can ever spectate a race, highly suggest it. The runners need you. They need you. I got my selfie with the mile 26 sign, and then after that, it was final stretch. I was able to run more. We tried to stick with the intervals as best we could, but we ended up skipping a lot for those last like 5-ish miles. We ran to the finish, cried the entire way, got my medals. My mom was at the finish line, and I think Wyatt got some, Ashley's boyfriend got pictures of me and Ashley at the finish line with our medals, holding our Disney boxes, like, we got our marathon finisher Mickey ears, and oh, it was all worth it. Got that dopey medal. I passed away. And I had given all my other medals to my mom to hold, to bring them to me at the finish line so I could get pictures with them, and I was really happy I did that. I died. I died. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, ever. While at the finish line, I ended up getting my knees wrapped at the medical tent with ice packs, which I never usually do, but I did it this time immediately, and that was a huge help. Like, amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend. And then I decided to like go home and shower, but then also immediately go back to Magic Kingdom to take medal pictures at the castle with my other friends who completed the Dopey Challenge. And while I did not want to get ready and go to a freaking park after running a marathon, I did it. And I'm glad I did, because the walking after is actually, I think, what played a huge role in my recovery and making things a little bit easier. So definitely recommend that. I was really happy that I did go with my friends to like take pictures and get all of our medals out, and it was so fun. We were all matching and we got fantastic photos. I did post those as well. My sweet dad carried my backpack of stuff and all my medals with me to the park and held all the things while the rest of us were taking pics. So that was great. My legs and feet were dying after that, but they actually did feel better because I walked and like kept moving. So I will say that is very, very helpful. Oh dear, this episode is so long, so thanks for bearing with me. But post Dopey Day, Monday after, I literally did nothing. I slept. My body still woke up at 7 a.m. and was like, we don't have to go run now? Interesting. Odd. We ended up, my friend Allison and I got a last minute reservation for the storybook dining with Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, which is a dining experience at the Wilderness Lodge Resort. And Snow White, Dopey, Grumpy, and the Queen all meet at this character dining. So we went and had dinner there Monday night, and so fun. We took all of our medals. I took my Dopey medal. I took my tiny little Dopey wishable with his tiny little Dopey medal that I got. That's actually a pin that I bought from the expo. So that was great. I'm planning my tattoos now. I really want to get a 48.6 tattoo somewhere, and maybe a marathon tattoo to commemorate. So stay tuned for that. Definitely will post about that. Okay, to wrap this up, I do want to say things that I would do differently if I do this again. Which, by the way, don't ask me for a couple weeks if I'm doing this again, because I don't have an answer for you. If you asked me at mile 18 during the marathon, I would say absolutely effing not. But I don't know. We forget sometimes. So we'll see. Things I would do differently. Spend more time on my feet during training. I thought I was doing that by going to the parks, but it was not enough. Spend more time on your feet. Stand at your desk, just do more things on your feet. I would have hard stop times for going to bed before the races, because sometimes we get overwhelmed and we're like, oh, I have time and I'm gonna go relax at the pool, but like then you get to like prepping your stuff and getting ready for bed, and sometimes things take longer, or like sometimes dinner is running late and whatever. I would set like end times, like we are in bed by this time every day, to just make sure that you're well rested for the races. I would pack more food. I would pack more snacks for right before the races, like to literally eat in the corral, because I was hungry and I think my energy was low for especially the 10K and the half. And then for the second half of the marathon, I like had no appetite. I was like, I don't want any food. I took the first banana at the first banana stop at the marathon, and then didn't take the second banana. That was eventually, I don't even know at what mile. We did get chocolate though going into Hollywood Studios, so I think that was like what, mile 21 or something. No, it was like mile 23. I don't know. We got Dove dark chocolate, which that was amazing, incredible. But I just didn't have an appetite. I was like, I just want to be done. Like, I would do more strength training, which I tried to incorporate it on like running days, so that I didn't like overwork my muscles on like days I wasn't running. But I would do more. I would tie my shoes a little bit tighter. I didn't adjust my shoes for the marathon. I like just kind of slipped them on, and I like left them like a little bit looser. Mistake. I think that hurt my shins and calves because there was a little bit more sliding room in my shoes. So I would retie them, tie them tighter right before the race. I would do that differently. Like I said, I would bring a cushion to sit in the corrals to get off of my feet. I would push further up in the corrals. I would train my pace and speed work more. I would wear shoe lights. Oh my gosh. I saw girls wearing this, or like, and women and men too, wearing shoe lights. There were parts of the course that were literally pitch black, and there was like potholes and curbs, and people were yelling like curb, curb, especially running down by the Contemporary during like the half marathon and the marathon. Pitch black, no lights. And thankfully, people by us had little shoe lights, like little shoe flashlights that like showed the ground. And oh my, I'm getting shoe lights. I am getting shoe lights. That's a necessity. And then I would just kind of soak in the moments more. It was easy to be like, all right, next, and now we're doing this. But like, I tried to do this during the weekend and to kind of take it 1 mile at a time and soak it in. And I think staying on property and like doing the Disney dining was helpful because like you can wear your medal and just like really be proud of each race as you went along and be surrounded by other people who know what you accomplished and like understand why you're dressed that way, or like why you have a medal on, or like there to congratulate you, and you just feel so good. So I don't know, that was good. But okay, to wrap up this insanely long episode, final segment by the numbers. We do have some countdowns. So that Princess Weekend is 1 month and 6 days away. That's crazy. If you're doing the Fairy Tale Challenge, good luck. If you like just did the Dopey Challenge and now you're going to do Fairy Tale, good luck. Good luck to you. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do the 10K, and I really want to work on like racing it and trying to PR it. So we'll see how that goes. Springtime Surprise. We've got 2 months and 27 days, as well as that's the same weekend that Taylor Swift is in Tampa. So good luck to me. I will be running the challenge that weekend, so I'm very excited. Pace update. I mean, I don't really have a pace update for you. Realistically, it's like 12 to 18 minutes. Just a little bit of a range. We're going to work on it though. Total mileage, 48.6 plus. Because we all know that we clocked more than 48.6 miles last weekend if you did the Dopey Challenge. So that's what I got for you. Will I be continuing this podcast? Well, I think it's a great way to keep involved in the running community, and I am still running like Run Disney races and whatnot. So a couple of you have messaged me like, oh, keep posting running content, like I love it, and that makes me feel so good and happy, and I'm so glad you enjoy it and support me. So we'll see if I continue it. Of course, as we saw, I stopped being as consistent with it, but I think if I have something to say, then I'll record an episode. So I think we can keep it going. But let me know, comment on YouTube and or send me messages on Instagram. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I will read them. So yes, please send feedback. Thank you so much for tuning in, and get moving.